Hello, this is Sean Mullery from Electronic Engineering at IT Sligo, and I'm just doing a short recording here to just deal with an issue that has shown up in version 2 of the MPLABx IDE. Previously, I've done some exercises showing you how to use the internal counters, or using the timers as counters, and I've done that. I'm just going to turn up my audio here. So I've done that in version 1.9, and it works fine there. There's no issues with it, but unfortunately when we use it in version 2, they seem to have introduced a bug into it in that version, which hopefully they'll solve in later versions. So just to explain to you what exactly is happening, as follows. I'm just going to run it. Now this program is basically just, we've set up the timer 0 as a counter. I'm not using any interrupts or anything like that. In my main, all I'm doing is I'm putting the value of timer 0 into the count variable. Looking at my logic analyzer here, what I've put into RA4, which is my input, is a signal which is 50 microseconds low, 50 microseconds high. I'm just going to show you that in the stimulus. Here it is, 50 microseconds low, 50 microseconds high. That's assuming that we're using a 4 megahertz clock. Now, what should occur then is that it should only count on either the high, either the rising edge or the falling edge, depending on which way we have set it up. However, what is actually occurring is that if we set it for the rising edge, it's actually, as soon as the rising edge occurs and it's staying at a high level for 50 microseconds, it's actually counting the system clock during that time rather than just counting the rising edge. So it's actually counting up to 50 during that section. Then when it goes low, it stops counting again. Now on the other hand, if you have it set up for negative edge triggered, what it does is it ignores when it's at a high level, but when it's at a low level, it counts the clock cycles during that low section. Now clearly all we want to do is we just want to count the individual rising edge or the falling edge. We don't want to count the system clock during that time. So this seems to be a bug that has been introduced. Now, what I've done here is I've shown you the count variable here. We can see it's currently set to a value of 7, and if I start stepping through that, we can see that it's staying at 23 there, then it's jumping to 28. Okay, and it's staying at 28 there for a while. Now what's occurring there where it's staying at 28 is that on the logic analyzer we're currently at the low level. Okay, so we're checking for a rising edge here. We're currently at the low level, so it's ignoring anything that's happening. But as soon as we move back, where are my variables gone? As soon as we move back, sorry, my watches. As soon as we move back to the high point, and you'll see the value change now in a moment. It's gone to 29. We'll just check the logic analyzer. We've now gone back. You can just see it out of the corner here. We've gone back to a high level, and what will occur is it will continue to count those as we go. You can see it's gone up to 37 there, 45 as it goes, right, as it's jumping through each one of these sections. And if we check the logic analyzer again, we can see that we're still at the high level. As soon as we switch back to a low level, that will stop happening. And now it's staying at 78, and if we check our logic analyzer, we can see we're back to a low level. This is clearly an issue with the simulator. It doesn't seem to be an issue with configuration settings or anything else. And as I said, it's working fine in version 1.9. So if you are using version 2, what's your solution here? Do you uninstall it and go back to version 1.9 just to try and solve this small little problem, or do we find a way around it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a suggested way around it that will work just for the moment. And this is always a good idea, because what can happen is that when you're in an actual development situation in a workplace, you may find that the tools are generally quite new and they may have bugs in them. And it's important that you become able to be flexible to work around any bug that you find in a system. The second thing is, don't assume that every error that occurs or everything that goes wrong with your program is a bug in the simulator. 99% of the time, even with a simulator that has known issues, in 99 out of 100 of the cases, the problem is in your program. You've just done it wrong. And I don't just mean you particularly, that goes for all of us. But don't make the assumption that the problem is not in your program, that it's in the simulator. Try and eliminate all the possibilities first before you decide that the problem is with the compiler or the simulator or whatever it is. So in this particular case, what we're going to do is, because this is only happening when we're at a high value, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that just to 1. And I'm going to change this then to 99. Now that gives me the same frequency. Okay, we still have 100 overall, but I'm only going high for that one thing. So while it'll only count 1 clock cycle during that, and that will hopefully solve my issue. So if I run again and stop, this is difficult to see on the logic analyzer. You can see we just have these individual peaks that are occurring there. And if we have our watch window here, we're at 150 there. We're going to sit there for quite some time. And we can see it's changed to 151, and then we've got a lot of cycles to go through before it changes to 152. And there it changes again. And what has happened in each one of those cases is that we have just passed one of those peaks. But it hasn't jumped by more than a single digit at any given time, and therefore that tells us that that's hopefully working properly now. Okay, so that's just a way around the particular issue that's occurring in version 2 of the simulator. As I say, by the time they get to version 2.1, they may well have that spotted and solved, and therefore it's no longer an issue. But what's more important here is that you realize that sometimes the tools do have bugs in them. Don't assume that it's a bug in the tool. Firstly, try and figure out whether it's a problem with your own program, and then as a last resort, try and track down exactly what is wrong with the tool that you're using, and try and find a way around it to solve your individual problem.